Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am Mila Clark Buckley, the Hangry Woman, and today we're going to be talking about a bunch of factors that affect your blood sugar. A lot of times when you're living with type 2 diabetes, you're often told that food and exercise are just about the only things that affect your blood sugar. But there are actually more than 40 factors that affect how your blood sugar is, whether you're going high, whether you're going low, whether you are steady and things are looking fine for you. And it's really interesting to think about our body's responses and all of the things that can affect our blood sugar. And I'm going to leave a link for you down below so that you can read more about these factors, because it's really interesting when you think about all of the things that really contribute to how you manage your diabetes. But before we get started, I wanted to make sure that you like this video and subscribe if you're looking for food content, diabetes content, or just overall healthy living with diabetes. I was diagnosed with diabetes in 2016, and since then I have done everything that I can to really change the way that my life is, just so I can live a happier, healthy, longer life with fewer complications. So if you're looking for somebody like you who has type 2 diabetes, who's just talking about the way that they're living day to day, that's me. And if you like and subscribe, you'll get the videos. So let's get started. The first category of things that affect your blood sugar is, of course, food. So we know that food and carbohydrates are some of the main causes for spikes and lows. How many carbs you eat, how few carbs you eat, all of these things contribute to the way that your blood sugar looks. But other nutrients also contribute. So the number of fats that you eat can contribute to highs or lows. Protein, caffeine, and alcohol can all affect your blood sugar. Dehydration, the timing of your meals, can have an effect on your blood sugar, and your own personal microbiome. So, the bacteria, the viruses that live in your personal system, all of those things can have an effect on your blood sugar, and that's kind of like the overall food category. So that's the main one. We know that food has a direct correlation to how blood sugar looks, but those are kind of all of the factors. And I think we look at carbohydrates a lot as the go-to, like, this is why my blood sugar is high because I had too many carbohydrates, or this is why my blood sugar is low because I didn't have enough carbohydrates. But proteins and fats also play a role in that. So it's really interesting to think about how your nutrition picture as a whole really can contribute, and all of those things contribute to highs and lows. Biological issues are kind of the next overall category of factors that can affect your blood sugar. So too much or too little sleep can affect your blood sugar. Stress and illness, if you've recently had hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia, which is low blood sugars or high blood sugars. Dawn phenomenon, which is where your blood sugar rises overnight while you're asleep, whether you have eaten or had water or are doing nothing but sleeping. Dawn phenomenon is one of those factors that can affect the way that your blood sugar looks. Intramuscular insulin delivery. So if you inject your insulin too far, instead of on kind of like the under your skin area where you have fatty tissue is where insulin works best. If you introduce it into a muscle, so you inject a little too deeply, you can run the risk of your insulin working too quickly and being absorbed by your body too quickly, which will cause extreme lows. And then also, regular things for women, our menstruation cycle will affect blood sugar. I know when I'm on my period, I tend to be sky high, and nothing I can do gets it down, whether I lower my carb intake or take extra insulin, exercise. None of those things tend to work for me. So that is a huge factor in high blood sugars. And then puberty and smoking are also two factors that can really affect your blood sugar. So as your body is changing and growing, the response to that typically is for your body to go high. And so your body is just adapting, and it's natural that that happens. Now we're going to move on to medication. So medication is mostly used to lower your blood sugar. So things like insulin, I take a long-acting insulin, or metformin or Januvia. Those kind of help your body to lower your blood sugar, but there are some medications that can raise your blood sugar. So when you take steroids, your blood sugars tend to run very, very high. In addition, if you're not taking the right dose, or you're taking too much or too little, those can affect your blood sugar, as well as the timing of your medication. I know that when I was taking a human insulin, I had to take it always 30 minutes before I had my meal. So I had to kind of time it out. I had to anticipate, like, okay, I'm going to eat at 7:30, so I should take insulin at 7. wait for that absorption, and then take my first bite. So the timing is also something that can radically change how your medication works for you. And medication is kind of a big overall category over blood sugars and how blood sugars are affected. There are also environmental factors that affect your blood sugar. So when you think about things like expired insulin that, it's just the environment that you can't help, or say that you don't keep your insulin at a proper temperature, that can affect how well your insulin works, which can in turn affect your blood sugar. Inaccurate blood glucose readings, the temperature outside, whether it's rain. I mean, I'm joking about whether it's raining, but we joke about how all of these things can affect our blood sugars, and truly some things like the temperature outside can affect whether our blood sugars are high or low. Activity or exercise is another big area that can affect your blood sugar, whether highs or lows again. So when you think about light exercise, that can keep you steady or drop your blood sugar. High intensity workouts actually kind of have the opposite effect for a little bit. So I noticed that when I do a high intensity workout, whether it's like boxing or a true hardcore run, or like spin class, cycling, things like that are like very fast paced, getting your heart rate up really fast, I actually notice the opposite of what I think should happen. So let me tell you what I think should happen is that it should lower my blood sugar because I'm exercising, I'm getting my heart pumping, I'm going, but it actually does the opposite when you do these high intensity exercises. And so for me, I notice that I constantly will spike when I do a high intensity exercise. And then over time, the blood sugar gets lower and lower and lower and lower and gets back to a normal range. And it's that adrenaline response in your body. Your body kind of thinks you're in fight or flight mode, which increases the glucose in your bloodstream and tends to raise your blood sugar. So it's crazy how those things work. Like you don't even think about a lot of these things because you're like, they're a part of your everyday. But when you sit down and you kind of think about logging, you think about writing down your blood sugars and kind of tracking your patterns, and you start to notice these things and you start to notice how a lot of these things can affect your blood sugar, whether they're high or low. And it's really interesting to kind of find what works for different people. And then the last category is behaviors and decisions. So we know that a lot of our decisions and a lot of our behaviors are directly tied to what our blood glucose looks like, right? So if you decide to eat a very high carbohydrate meal, that is your decision, that is your behavior that is causing high blood sugars, because you know that carbohydrates can increase the glucose in your bloodstream, therefore resulting in high blood sugar. So those behaviors and those inherent decisions that we make about our diabetes management are really important and really crucial. And one of those things that is directly tied to the way that our blood sugars look. So I know that I started using the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, which became like my crutch and my gut check about blood sugars. And one of the things that I noticed was that when I have high blood sugar, I don't feel high. I maybe feel a little bit more thirsty. My vision gets a little blurry, and that's the cue to me that my blood sugars are high. But sometimes I just feel like that even when I'm normal. Like my body just feels like that. And before I had the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, I really didn't know that. I was finger pricking only around meal times and fasting, which was telling me kind of like where I was waking up and then how meals were affecting me. But I'm now able to check in real time anytime I want to understand how I'm feeling and how that correlates to my blood sugar. So more frequent blood sugar checks are one thing that can help to lower your blood sugar. Because when you're constantly checking and you have that great gut check and you have that number that's right in front of you, you're able to adapt a lot better than just being able to check once or twice a day. I noticed when I was checking once or twice a day, my A1C was high. Like I only could check twice a day, so I didn't know what was going on with me for the entire rest of the day. But being able to have a gut check all throughout the day, if I want to check 60 times a day, I can. If I want to check 5 times a day, I can. And so that has really helped me to tune in and to understand my blood sugars better and understand patterns that I didn't really understand before. And so being able to check frequently is one of those things that has helped me lower my blood sugar. Now, of course, in a pandemic at this time right now, my blood sugars have been everywhere. They've been crazy. I've been stressed. I also quit my job. I have done a lot in the past month, and so I have not had the greatest blood sugars this month. And granted, I also haven't been making all of the best choices. I haven't been as active as normal. I've been sitting at my computer for 10 or 12 hours a day, just working straight through the day, forgetting to just take a breath and take a breather. But those are behaviors that I know are affecting my blood sugar. And so when I'm high, I can point to that and say, well, I'm not quite doing the right thing, so here's where I can adjust, and I can kind of think about that for myself. Family and social pressures are also a behavior that can affect blood sugar. So when you think about going out to eat with your family and they're like, just have a little chips in queso, it's fine. Or if you get the societal pressure kind of from your friends, like, it's okay to have this drink, it's okay to, go out and do this, or, all of these decisions that you kind of, internalized for yourself and made for yourself, but then having that outside pressure of people kind of saying, this is what you should do. That's one of the things that can definitely affect your blood sugar. So, not to say that you can't have fun and you can't, do what you want, but it's when you think about the decision-making process, you always have to think, is this going to be the best thing for my health? And if it's not, it's okay to say no to those pressures. It's okay to say, that's not what I want, that's not what I need, thank you, and kind of leave it at that. But those are also behaviors that tend to affect our blood sugar, whether in, making our blood sugars high or whether it's, keeping us low. And we make so many decisions during a day that that's probably something that you don't even think about as affecting your blood glucose, but it really does. So guys, I hope this video was really helpful for you. It is always crazy to me how we're kind of told that exercise and food are the only factors that affect our blood sugar, when in reality, there are so many things that every day are parts of our decision making, are parts of our lives, and we're just on autopilot. When you live with diabetes and you've been living with it long enough, for me, I'm at about the 4-year mark of living with diabetes, and I always am so floored at the number of decisions that are just on autopilot for me at this point, and things that I don't have to think about so much, and things that are just easy, and so you don't think about them as affecting your blood sugars. You may not think of them as something that is a part of your decision-making process for the day because you're automatically thinking about it. But when you sit down and you kind of take stock of how you're feeling and what your blood sugars look like, there's so many things throughout the 24-hour period that you're living that have this effect on your blood glucose. And when you're able to kind of point to that, I think it helps you make better decisions about your diabetes management. Like I said, I'm going to leave the longer blog about the factors that affect your blood glucose in the description box below so that you can read more about it. But I wanted to tell you just about the things that I have noticed, the things that I think are really interesting about what affects your blood sugar, and also just kind of give an awareness that food and exercise are not the only things that affect your blood sugar. And so if you're feeling frustrated by that and you're feeling like you're doing everything you can in those areas, but you're still having issues managing your blood sugar, think about those other factors and take that to your doctor and say, this is the way that I've been feeling and here are the other things that I'm noticing. And I found that that helps tremendously. When you can bring the patterns that you see to your doctor and say, here is what I'm noticing, here is the hard facts, here's the information, this is what I'm dealing with, it makes it a lot easier for them to help, and it makes it a lot less frustrating. And before we go, hopefully I can help make that process a lot less frustrating for you too. So I just wrote a book called The Diabetes Food Journal, and it is just the way that I manage diabetes. It is a log and journal book, so you can log your nutrition, your activity, and all kinds of other factors that affect your blood sugar, like your sleep, if you have meditated for the day, how much water you've had, and any notes just that you've seen and any observations about how your medications are working and how you're feeling. And I think that that is really important, to take a whole look, a whole picture look at all of it, to be sure that you're not missing anything and that everything that you are doing to manage your diabetes is working. And if it's not, helping your doctor figure out how you can change it. So the book is on Amazon. I'm so excited. It launches on May 5th. So by the time this video goes live, it might be out, but if not, it's available for pre-order. And I'm just so excited. This has been my baby. This has been the thing that I've been working on for months that I couldn't tell anybody about. And now that it's finally here, I'm so glad to be able to share it with you. So I hope that this video helped you. I hope that if you have just any questions about your diabetes management, that you really speak with your doctor and dig down into what is going on and what can help you get a handle on your management. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. So if you did, please, please, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.